down the path. He says, when I thought how to understand this, it seemed to me a wearisome task until when, folks? Until I went to the sanctuary of God. Then I discerned their end. Truly, you set them in slippery places. You make them fall to ruin. And he goes on to talk about how eventually God will bring their destruction upon their own head. And so we also may be tempted to envy the arrogant. We also may, like Asaph, wonder, what is going on in this world? Why do we see it? Our feet also may almost stumble, or our feet may also almost slip by all the crushing waves that embitter our souls and prick our hearts. And so I want to encourage you, if we're going to stand firm in this world as wave after wave comes crashing against us, we have to do what the psalmist did, to go into the holy temple, to enter into deep intimacy with our Creator, our Redeemer, and our Sustainer. I have no other encouragement or advice for you in these dark days, in these difficult days. Whether that's something we see on the country or in our own lives, when things try to knock us off our feet, the only hope we have is to enter into God's presence. Is to go into the Holy of Holies so that we can properly understand what's happening all about us. So that we can understand the times and know what we should do. We have to lean into the promises that are there in His Word that speak to us. And that we have to actively pursue Him in His Word. So that we can be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. I don't know about you, but it's been tough. It's been tough because I can be tempted to want to just have a knee-jerk reaction to some of the things and say, it's not that difficult, folks. But yet then realize that a young generation is being raised up that don't have the same foundation as you did, as I did. You know, for the battles that have been faced in the past 60 years, you got to recognize, we have to be aware, church, that the same foundation of prayer in schools and the Bible being taught in schools is not there. Right. Children are being taught that they are the product of evolution. There is a secular, progressive ideology, religion, if you will, a secular humanist religion that is being thrust upon them. They do not have the same foundation that you and I have. And so we need to pray earnestly for them. We need to ask God to show us how we can have the proper balance of grace and truth to respond to the waves that are coming against them. That we stand firm, but that also we can help, not the elderly, but the young, stand firm against these waves. Give them truth, not criticism or condemnation. Correction, but gentle and loving correction, so that they're not knocked off their feet. And one other thing we need to do is we need to remind ourselves, above all this, that God's got us. Yes. Even when, especially when it seems all hell is coming against us, we got to recognize that nothing in all of this entire creation can withstand the power of the one true God. So although the enemy may be able to attack and sometimes prevail against God's people, nothing escapes His notice. And nothing is outside His control. He will bring a reckoning. He is the God who is tempted in every way like us, but remained without sin. He is the God who defeated death. He is the one who holds this universe together with the power of His Word, and He lives within His people. You and me. The Spirit of Jesus living in us. In fact, in 1 John 4:4, in John's epistle, you know this word, greater is He who is in you than he who is in the world. Amen. Greater is He who lives in us, the Spirit of Jesus living in us, than the one who is in this world, folks. And if that same Spirit of Jesus lives in us, remember what Jesus said in John 17. He said, you're going to have trouble in this world. Just because you're a believer doesn't mean you're not going to have trouble. If they persecuted you, they're going to persecute me. Yeah. But we can take heart because He has overcome this world. So the trials may come, the waves may crash against us, but Jesus, who lives within us, has overcome the world. And if we're going to overcome, we got to go into that presence of the one who lives within us and stand firm upon Him. That's right. And when we do that, then we can embrace and apply that reality from Romans chapter 8. If God is for us, who can be against us? If God is on our side, then it doesn't matter what the world does against us, because God's got this. Paul also wrote in that same chapter of Romans 8, God causes all things to work together for good for those who love Him and who are called according to His purpose. That is our truth. That is a promise of God. That is our reality. So we can take heart. We can stand firm when the waves from the evil one keep crashing against us time and time again. In fact, we need to remind ourselves of this truth as well. God spoke it in Hebrews chapter 13. It was quoted from another passage, but he says, "Never will I leave you. Never will I forsake you." Jesus told the disciples in Matthew chapter 28 that I am with you always until the end of the age. I'm never going to abandon you. In fact, that's why he sent his Spirit to be with us forever. And so therefore, we must not fear, though the earth give way and though the mountains fall into the heart of the sea.
Yes. Yes.
There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God. And that river isn't necessarily a physical river, but it is the river of the water of life that is poured out into each believer through the Spirit of God living in us. And so that's where we can take heart. Our God is with us, folks. He walks with us through the fire. He stands at our side. He's there behind us. And he's a lot stronger than me trying to hold up that elderly lady. He's a lot stronger, and he will stand firm. He's the one who gives us strength to face one more wave and one more wave and one more wave.
Thank you, Jesus.
We need to trust him, to lean on him, to stand on his word so that we can resist the evil one in the difficult times that come. Now, just real quick, since I was taking us back there to the beach, let's go back to that elderly woman. Or as Paul Harvey would say, and now, for the rest of the story. I always loved hearing that. Even when I was a kid, I loved Paul Harvey. After Royce and Sherry checked on that elderly lady and myself, and while she stayed on shore, my brave bride trekked out into the ocean with Royce and me and did some wave bobbing. We had some fun up there. And after we were enjoying the waves for about 20 minutes, I just happened to look over to my side, and lo and behold, there's that elderly lady about 30 feet from us, and she's just floating along the waves. And I'm thinking, what? And I was thinking, look, you gotta look around and wonder, did someone just pump me out with a video or a candid camera? Was that all a show or something? But then she said these words as she hauled across. She said she left the board on the beach, and it was a lot easier to get out there without that flotation device, right? Oh my. Yeah. I have to give her credit though, because she wasn't going to take no for an answer.
Amen.
And that persistence, that perseverance in overcoming those crashing waves, I think there's a lesson for us here as well.
Yes.
She made it out there. And she was able to enjoy the ocean. And she was able to overcome, even with weak legs and one mostly metal, she was able to overcome the intensity of those incessant waves without the boogie board, without the flotation death grip device. She was able to get out there and enjoy the waves. And I do believe we can overcome the waves that crash against us and the battles that come before us. It's not going to be easy, but like her, it's going to take persistence and perseverance. And you have to let go of some things too, right? That hold us back or bring us down. Most importantly, if we're going to have an overwhelming victory against the crushing challenges that come against us, we have to lean into our victorious warrior. We have to, that's from Zephaniah, that God is our victorious warrior. Zephaniah 3:17, the Lord your God is in your midst, a victorious warrior. He is the one who overwhelmingly defeated our enemy. And we need to lean into him. We have to approach the throne of grace with boldness. Hebrews chapter 4 says, approach that throne of grace with boldness so that we can receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. Individually or corporately, as a body, or even as a nation, we need to approach that throne of grace with boldness because God will give us help in our time of need if we seek his face. Right. Not only that, not only do we need to approach it, and not just momentarily, but we need to linger there, folks. This is something we really need to do. And I think maybe, just maybe, that's why we see these persistent lockdowns or restrictions going on, these constant setbacks in this year, because it's really, I don't know about you, but it's forcing me multiple times, every day. I set those alarms in my phone, and they just keep coming off to remind me to pray for this, to pray for that, to pray for this, to pray for the president, to pray for our country, and to pray for awakening, to just really linger there. We need to linger there in God's presence at that throne of grace, and we need to cling cling to our sure and steadfast anchor. We sang about that in The Only King Forever, that He is our only solid ground.
That's right.
That He is the anchor for our souls, and He is a sure and steadfast anchor, and so we need to hold fast to Him and to the hope that He provides for us. So not just approach the throne of grace, but also linger there, okay? And then, therefore, let us draw near to God. No matter what waves, who knows what next week might look like. Who knows? But no matter what wave comes against us, we can know that our Redeemer lives and that He lives within us, and that one day we're going to behold His face. And so since He's got this, we need to just keep trusting Him, keep leaning into Him, and keep striving for what He would have us do. So I'm going to close in prayer here, but I also want to do something for you all who are here with us. And I want to just give you a moment to pause, okay? Before we sing, I want to pray for each one of you. And I'm just going to come around. You can put your mask on if you need to. If you don't want me to touch you, that's totally cool. I got some oil, but if you don't mind, just maybe nod the head as I come close to you. Not this past week, but the week before, as we were getting ready for the Solemn Assembly, thank you for those of you who joined in the prayer calls at 9 p.m. every night. It was a blessing to be able to just really just focus in and concentrate for a half hour of prayer with brothers and sisters in Christ. Not just lifting up the Solemn Assembly, but really just lifting up our country and where we are as a people of God. And one of the things that on Tuesday night, a person with a prophetic gift had said was, pastors, you need to watch. Attacks are going to come. He said, keep an eye on your first guard. He said, watch over and pray for your elders and your deacons, your leaders, because they're going to be attacked. I shared that with Sherry afterwards on Tuesday. And we began to pray for some of you. And yet, in the midst, of course, of the week, I felt something more needed to be done. And so I don't want to leave anybody out. And I want to pray for each one of you individually. It won't be long, but I want to encourage you to linger here and just come into this time of prayer. And like I said, as I come close to you, I just want to give you the freedom. If you don't want oil in your head or you don't read, which is totally cool, just be like, just pray. But if you're okay with it, just give me a nod. And while you wait, just join me in prayer as we lift up not just our leaders, but all those who are here. I'm going to start from back and make my way around if we can talk.
pray for you guys individually? All right. What's that? Yeah. God, give you thanks and praise for that you pray your blessing upon him and give him draw him close to you, Lord God. Guard and guide and protect the body, mind, and spirit and the marriage. Straighten each and every day in Jesus' name. Amen. Representative of you, glory. Father God, your blessing, your grace, your mercy, overflow with him. Draw him closer to you, give him strength, body, mind, and spirit. Protect and guard and guide them, draw them close to you, with your extended families will watch over and guide and be with them in
those that could not be with us here in person, but they're with us in spirit. We pray that your mercy, your grace, your guidance will go before them. Protect, guard, guide them, draw them close to you. We pray that you would protect the marriages, protect the family and loved ones. We ask, Lord, for comfort, encouragement, strength, and peace. Lord, we think of the Cox family right now, and pray that you would watch over Gail Perry there in the hospital. Just be with them, draw them close to you, God. We love you. We thank you, Father, for hearing our hearts' cries. We know that you are good. You are God. We love you, Lord. We praise you. In Jesus' name. Let's stand and sing this as a response to that. As there's a powerful word of encouragement through this modern hymn, I guess you could call it. Let's sing these truths together.
Oh, praise the
knowing that He is, He was, He is to come.
Yes.
He's the one we cling to, the one we lean into,
Yes.
and hold on to, right?
Yes, Lord.
Go in peace.